I'm hoping the audio quality is a little bit better with this. I'm trying a new program instead of using my cell phone. But remember the pause symbol, pause, take whatever notes you need, and then feel free to go to the next slide. Today's objective. The student will be able to add and subtract decimals. This will be done through a presentation and classroom activity. Decimals are one of those things that we actually use in everyday life, but a lot of people don't necessarily think of it everyday life. And when you start thinking about it as money, it becomes a lot easier instead of thinking about it as decimals. So I actually do a little inference, not an inference, a little where we're pulling it together using money at the end of this, but hopefully you guys enjoy it and like it. So before we can actually do the problem, we have to set it up. If you don't set up a decimal problem right, you will get it wrong, and that's where the biggest error I see students making is the setting up of the problem. So now we have two different problems. The left one is the one we're going to do first, and the right one is what we're going to do second. What we often see people do is exactly what I do. So we have three numbers, just like addition. We're going to put the three numbers right on top of each other. That's wrong. We don't do that because it doesn't get you the right answer because the decimal equivalent aren't necessarily the same. We set it up like this. If you notice that decimal point, the 0.527 the point for the 0.527 is lined up right over the point from the 6.42. So if we want to rewrite it how it should be with the zeros, where it makes more sense, we rewrite it like that. The 0.527 goes over 0.6420 and so on and so on. And we just add zeros to put the space fillers in. So the next problem is exactly the same. We don't rewrite the problem right over the top of each other. We actually have to go and rewrite the problem where the decimal points line up. So where the decimal points line up over top of each other, you'll see I'm going to put that little red line over it, and you're good to go. So again, we have to put some fillers in so we can add. So like below the 2, when we have the 1.31, we're going to actually add a 0 behind it. And the 46.600, we add the zeros behind that. This is going to be the exact same thing for subtraction. So on this problem over here for subtraction, we have 451.00. We add in the zeros, we add the decimal point behind the 1. So then we should have one more subtraction problem coming up. So we have 531 minus 21.1. And all we do next is add the decimals behind the 1, so it'll be 0.10, and we're good to go. Okay, you might be asking yourself, well, why can I put all these zeros behind the 1 or zeros behind the number? It doesn't make it any bigger or smaller, because here's an example. You have $1. Some people might say $1 is just 1, but $1 equals 1.00. Just because I added that 0.00 doesn't make it any bigger or smaller. It makes it the same size. So you can add all the zeros you want behind it as long as you have a decimal. Just like in front of the 1. To the left of the 1, you can add all the zeros you want. It doesn't make it any bigger. Now the little activity to make you understand. Let's take a person. So if we take this person, and let's make this person into an awesome person who is Mr. Beuthin. So we have Mr. Beuthin. Let's go find out what Mr. Beuthin has in his pockets. He's, of course, got a $100 bill, some diamonds, and maybe even some keys for his Bugatti. Of course, Mr. Beuthin doesn't have that in his pockets. He doesn't have Bugatti, diamonds, or money. What Mr. Beuthin does usually probably have is maybe some crumpled up paper, maybe a candy wrapper. Wait, there's a penny. Mr. Beuthin probably has a penny on him because pictures up a dollar bill. And then we also have a dime and a quarter. So Mr. Beuthin probably doesn't have a lot of money on him. So teachers usually don't. So let's take away everything else because all we're concerned about is that money. And let's line it up and make it look all pretty. So after that, $1 we should know is 1.00. And then a dime is 0.10. And a quarter is 0.25. And a penny is 0.01. Let's go take the dollar and the quarter. So if we have a dollar and a quarter and we add them together, it makes $1.25. We're going to find this out in a second because if we have to put them on top of each other to line them up, we don't have $26. We have $1.25. So kind of looking at it in terms of money, and this tends to make a lot more sense because we have a dollar and a quarter, it makes $1.25. So that might help you with that part. So now that we have this pause slide, remember, pause, take any notes you need. If you don't need to take any notes, feel free to go on to the next part. So for whoever is watching this video, Mr. Valentine told me to say remember to carry the 1. And second, he said I need to be more dynamic. So hooray for math! Okay, now that I did that, spend a few minutes, do these problems. Like always, you don't need to do all of them. Do 2, 3, 4, whatever. Spend like 5 minutes. If you get them right, go on to the next. You're actually done because there is no next section. If you get them wrong, try to do the other ones. Rewind, find out what you did wrong, and you're good to go when you get them right. And to recap. Okay, recap. Decimals are pretty easy, but you got to remember to line up that decimal. If you don't line up the decimal, you will get the problem wrong, so line up the decimal before you do the work. Decimals don't get bigger or smaller if you add zeros onto it. So if you add zeros to the right of the decimal, it's still the same size as if you add zeros to the left of the decimal, or left of the number. As long as you have that decimal there, it doesn't make it any bigger. A dollar doesn't get bigger if you add more zeros to the right side of the dollar. It's still going to be a dollar. And let's re-go over our objective. The objective, the student will be able to add and subtract decimals. This will be done through a presentation and classroom activity.